Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Max AC channel. For this episode, we will be finishing up Meatless March, where we will be making the last of our 4 recipes that are as delicious as they are meatless. For this week's episode, we will be making some Shrimp Egg Foo Young. For this recipe, you will need 10 ounces of shrimp. You can use pre-cooked shrimp, but we will be cooking them with the egg, so I'll be using uncooked ones. You will also need some salt, a quarter teaspoon of sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of cornstarch, some oil to fry with, 1 medium onion, 2 cups of mung bean sprouts, half cup or so of shiitake mushrooms, 6 large eggs, quarter teaspoon of sesame oil, and 1 green onion or scallion. Then for the gravy, you will need 2 tablespoons of oil, 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, 3 cups of stock, 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce, 2.5 teaspoons of soy sauce, half teaspoon of sesame oil, quarter teaspoon of white pepper, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, 1 clove of garlic, and 1 shallot or red onion. And normally this is served with rice, so if you want, you will also need some jasmine rice. First, we'll prepare the ingredients. If your shrimp has the shell on, remove these unless I guess you like eating shrimp shells, and then chop your shrimp into little pieces like so. Once your shrimp is chopped, combine it with some salt, sugar, and half teaspoon of cornstarch and give that a good mix. Next, for the vegetables, mince up your shallot and garlic like so, and place them in a bowl together for later use. Then for your onion, you'll want to dice it like so. And lastly, chop up your green onions and mushrooms into little pieces as well. Then for the stock, if you're using Hondashi powder, you'll want to dissolve 3 teaspoons of it into 3 cups of water. You can of course use other types of powdered stock, or even use home or pre-made ones. But since I'm making this for Lent, bonito fish soup stock is the way to go. Also, if you want rice with your egg foo young, I recommend starting that now, so it'll be ready when you finish cooking. Once your ingredients are ready, we'll prepare the gravy. In a medium pot, heat 2 tablespoons of oil over medium heat. Then, whisk in 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour to make a roux, cooking this for about 15 to 20 seconds. The flour should start to clump up and bubble like so. Next, add in the minced garlic and shallot, and whisk this for another 30 seconds or so. When this is fragrant, whisk in your stock and bring the mixture to a simmer. Once it starts bubbling, add in your oyster sauce, soy sauce, sesame oil, and white pepper and give that a good mix. Once everything is ready, pour a little bit of the liquid into a bowl and then mix in 3 tablespoons of cornstarch to create a slurry. Once the cornstarch is fully dissolved, slowly stir in about 2/3 of the slurry mixture back into the pot and let it cook for 30 seconds or so, and the gravy should start to thicken. Add in more slurry if thicker gravy is desired, and let that simmer until desired thickness. Give your gravy a bit of a taste, and if desired, you may add in additional ingredients to adjust the flavor. Once it's to your liking, cover and set it aside, keeping it warm. If you plan on deep frying your egg foo young, in a deep pot or wok, add in enough cooking oil so that the egg foo young can float and can fry in the oil. You'll want to heat up the oil to about 335 to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So use a thermometer to check to see if the oil is ready. Too high a temperature will result in burned patties, and too low a temperature will cause extra greasy ones or ones that fall apart. But I recommend trying to err on the higher side, since adding in the batter will reduce the temperature while it cooks. Speaking of which, next we will create the egg foo young batter. In a mixing bowl, add in your shrimp mixture, diced onions, bean sprouts, eggs, sesame oil, mushrooms, green onions, and 1 teaspoon of cornstarch and give that a good mix. Then when you're ready, If you plan on pan frying your egg foo young, just heat up enough oil to coat the bottom of the pan, and then add in a spatula or ladleful scoop to the pan. Let this cook for 2 to 3 minutes, and then flip it and cook it for another minute or 2. I found that this way of cooking made it a lot easier to burn the patties, since I had to cook it for a little bit longer, since the shrimp wasn't entirely cooked through. Though if you're using pre-cooked shrimp, it should be a lot easier. Alternatively, for the deep frying method, once your oil and batter are ready, scoop your batter into the oil and let it fry for a couple of minutes or so. Try not to dip your batter transporter into the oil while pouring the batter in, as it will make the egg stick to the spoon, making it harder to clean. It's not the end of the world, but you'll just have to clean off the egg bits afterwards. Once it turns golden brown, give it a flip and let it cook for another minute or so. When it's ready, remove your patty from the oil and let it drain on a wire rack or paper towels while you repeat these steps until you've cooked all your batter. Then, once everything is ready, just plate everything together and your shrimp egg foo young is ready to eat. I was having a hard time deciding what I wanted to do for this last episode of Meatless March, but I was visiting a friend the other day and he mentioned egg foo young, and so I was inspired to try making it for this week's recipe. I've actually never made this before, but I think it turned out pretty alright for my first time. In terms of choosing to pan fry or deep fry, I would probably suggest deep frying if you can. Normally I don't like deep frying since it's a lot of oil, and you have to be more careful not to burn yourself. But I found these to be a lot easier to cook via deep frying. If you're making a lot of them, I definitely recommend deep frying as well, but if you're only making a small portion, pan frying might be easier. But of course, do what you're most comfortable with, just make sure your food is fully cooked. Also, I recommend making just enough for you to eat right away, as fried food typically doesn't taste as good as leftovers. But if you have an air fryer, I recommend using that to warm up your egg foo young. It won't be exactly as good as it is straight out of the deep fryer, but it still is pretty good and crispy. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. In the comments below, let me know how it went if you decided to make it, and let me know if there's anything you want me to make next. Like the video, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to this channel for more episodes of the Max AC channel. And remember, if you want to stay cool in the kitchen, turn your AC to the max and watch the Max AC channel. Once your shrimp is chopped, combine it with some salt,